watch live action stuff. Move out the way, please. Thomas is here. Let's see who's here.
I don't have the matchup.
Whoever that is.
What?
Lorraine, Julia, Jeremy, Esteban, Pat, Fred, Diana Foster.
Hey, now all I have to do is hear something.
Hi, Mr. Thomas. We're just all muted for now, but we hear you. You're good.
Okay, so it's working.
It's 7:16. We'll give it about another 5 minutes.
Hi, everyone. It's Warren. How are you all?
Huh?
I said, how are you all?
Hi, Warren.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I saw you were quoted the other day, Esteban.
You saw me what now?
You were quoted in some article.
What was it about?
Housing.
Well, that makes sense.
That makes sense. I think it could have been about the people who, with the worst landlord in Brooklyn.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I think it was.
Yeah, the Public Advocates Worst Landlord list is actually coming out, I think, this coming week. So,
hello, Mr. Baptiste.
Good evening, Mr. Burke.
How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Actually, hello to everyone, all committee members, all community residents. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, Mr. Thomas?
I'm great. I was just wondering if I was audible to anybody.
Yes, you are.
Oh, no.
Oh, great. Terrific. This is my first Zoom meeting of my life.
Really?
wow, welcome.
Well,
And it's
really?
We would have uncorked the champagne. You know, you should have told us.
I didn't know that one was the meeting.
But we do need your expertise here, so I'm glad you joined.
Great. I don't know, how does the meeting operate? I mean, does somebody present something and we react to it, or how does that go?
I think that's
Did
a
you already-
question for the chair.
Well, right. Did you already receive your agenda? Did you receive the agenda by email?
I did, yes.
Oh, so absolutely. So, Madam Chair, I see her on, so she'll run you right through. All you got to do is sit back, relax, and whenever you have a question, just let her know.
Great. Okay, great.
So we'll do 2 more minutes. At 7:20, we'll start.
By the way, I dropped into the youth meeting, the Youth Speak meeting. It was terrific. And when I was there, one of our alumni, Kara Lee, was there. And she has just developed into a knowledgeable young woman.
She was a knowledgeable young woman when she was with us, so I can only imagine what she's doing now.
I was always a little intimidated, but no, she had some sort of youth program. So, but she was going over her, first of all, she spoke very highly of her experience on the board. Number 2, she gave a little portfolio of pictures of who she met by being involved from the board and everybody else. from Eric Adams to our senator, just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. It was just wonderful. And she was so encouraging for young people to join the board, okay, or at least the youth committee. And one of the suggestions were to have a youth group within the committee. It was very positive, very productive.
Okay, so now it's in the ether. So now we got to make it happen. All right, I'll mute myself now, Madam Chair.
Same here.
I just waited, I'm looking, there was some people trying to get in from the waiting room, so I'm just trying to see if everybody's in now. Okay, somebody else is up. Okay, so we can start the meeting now, Nolan. It's 7:20. I want to say good evening to everybody. I'm glad most of you could show up. So the minute's going to be called to order. The rules of order for Brooklyn Community Board is the same. The only difference is now that we're online, everybody will be muted until it's time for them to basically speak or talk. The chat room is open. So we'll be reading to see like who wants to say something. The first half of the meeting would definitely be for, excuse me, just the community people and people that I call on. Later on in the agenda, there will be time for the people from the community, if they have something to say, they can join and say something. So we're gonna start with Alicia, with old business. She's gonna give us a court update for 40 and 54 Crown Street.
So for the first lawsuit, which is Carroll Development, Cornell, and that we're almost finished that lawsuit. The merits have already been done. The paperwork has been entered into for sanctions because, as you know, the developer broke the temporary restraining order twice. And so we're looking for sanctions against the developer. And also there's rather contempt of court. And then a sanctions motion against the other developer for telling his client, his witness, not to show up in court. And so those papers have been submitted on submission. There is no hearing for that. So we're waiting for the final determination on that lawsuit. We expect something within the next couple of months, and then we will see if we win, then we win. And if we lose, we will appeal. I assume the other side would probably do the same. The newest lawsuit that we filed, you guys know already that we had gotten the temporary restraining order, which is against 960 Franklin Avenue, because we made the claim that they failed to provide us with the pre-certification notification and documents that are supposed to come with that pre-certification notice. We filed the temporary restraining order, we got it enforced. However, they argued it, went to the second department, which is the appellate division, and got it overturned. But what happened is that because the certification date had come and passed, they now have to go back to the City Planning Commission and get another okay to certify the application. So we then put in an amended petition on that lawsuit. And because what they were saying was that even though it was very clear in the new city charter regulations that a detailed summary was supposed to be submitted, because that's what came to the voters, they're saying that the language in the law does not require a detailed summary. So we filed an amended petition because we said that the city attorneys violated the citizens' rights by changing the intent of the law. It was very clear. The question put to us was for not only a 30-day notice, but that a detailed summary was supposed to be submitted. However, the language they incorporated removed that second part. And so we are suing Corporation Counsel for changing the language so that it does not reflect what they presented to the community and the residents of New York City and what we passed and voted upon. The state law is very clear that it is the question that becomes law, not the city's interpretation of that question. So they pushed for Judge Bodie to be removed off the case. Judge Bodie agreed and said that the two cases were not similar. I don't know how you could say that, but they did. And so it's going to be put back into the pool. We don't know who the new judge will be, but we assume that we will probably have a date sometime in January in front of a new judge. And
So,
just
I'm sorry, when you say we, I like to know who we is. You keep
that's the three petitioners on the case. That's myself, Michael Hollingsworth, who's running for city council, who's here in the meeting. He's the petitioner, and also LaShawn Ellis. So there's three petitioners. We are acting as pro se litigants. That means we do not have any attorneys representing us. And when we say we, we're talking about the people, basically, because
I know, we just needed the names, that was it.
right, those are the. So let's just be clear, because there is some confusion, because people believe because the lawsuit has been filed that no application is going to be certified, but that is not true. The temporary restraining order was lifted, so the Department of City Planning and the City Planning Commissioners can go forward and certify the application. We know that there is a meeting coming up on Monday. We assume that it's possible that they might be agreeing to certify the application on Monday, and then we will have 30 days before it is certified. That's it.
Okay, great. So since you already answered the update for 960, we can move on unless Mr. Hollingsworth want to say something in reference to that. You can unmute him.
No, I think Ms. Boyd covered it pretty well, but I never missed an opportunity to reaffirm my position that I'm opposed to the project at 960 Franklin Avenue. So,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. So C is the pre-certification update. For 960, I think we requested some materials from the New York City Department of City Planning. We got a lot of materials just, I think it was yesterday. And I don't think that we've had a chance to really read it all at this point in time. So I am going to table that until we have a chance to really read it, to read the whole package that we got. Not unless, Mr. Baptista, you want to say anything?
Not so much that I have anything to say with regards to that at this point, but I did want to point out and offer the opportunity with the chair's permission. We do have the president of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, Mr. Adrian Benefi. He's with us this evening. I'm not sure, Mr. Benefi, if you would like to say anything right now, or if you'd like to hold comments for later on during the meeting.
He could hold comments until we get to the community part. We'll bring him up in a minute. I don't really see him. Is he on? Okay. I'll put him down. Okay, what's next?
Could I ask a quick question?
Who?
Chair? This is Esteban.
Oh, okay.
So if they were if they're meeting on the 14th, would they be deciding on the pre-certification, or would they be certifying on that day? I think I'm confused on which thing is happening.
It's really important that we understand that it is not the Department of City Planning who makes the final determination whether or not an application gets certified. It is City Planning Commission.
Right.
And the commissioners are the ones to oversee the Department of City Planning, and it is them that has to be satisfied with the application as it stands. And it is them who then decides whether or not the application can be certified. So it goes in front of them, and then they decide, they take a vote. Oh yes, we looked at all the documents. We think that this is fine. It's everything that we wanted. And so we're going to certify it. And once they do their stamp of approval, then it's 30 days from the day in which they notify us of the City Planning Commissioner's decision to certify the application.
Got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
So does anybody else on the committee would like to say anything in reference? I mean, it was a lot of material. I didn't get a chance to read it all. I was starting to read some of it, but I didn't get the opportunity to read it all. Anybody else want to say anything?
This is Nicola.
Hi, Nicola.
I started looking through the material. Again, it's a lot, but I would say as people review it, two things. What I was trying to do, especially since I knew I didn't have the latest and greatest documents, was just to get a sense of, okay, what, at a high level, what is their plan? And from what I can tell, they are trying to get sign off on a large scale general development project in our area. And you know, I knew that term from the scoping hearing. I didn't really understand what that meant until recently. And looking at the details, a general development project is related to a commercial zone. We are not a manufacturing a commercial zone district, anything. We are residential. In order for them to get that kind of project class, the first thing they have to do is have a manufacturing or commercial district. So what they've done is they've created a C4 overlay on top of their, R9 district, R9 zone. It was an R9D, I think. So they are trying to turn that area into a commercial zone. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for the residential buildings that are partially part of those lots? What is that going to mean for us as a community that we now have this supposed commercial district as part of our community? So that's something that we need to think about as we're reading through the documents. One of the things that I noted, like, why are they doing that? There's such a thing as a large scale residential development. Why didn't they go down that path? But when you look at the, there are more protections, to me, there are more protections for the community and for the residents than what's being developed through the residential. So they have more, there are more guidelines and restrictions. They basically have carte blanche on a general development. That's why they can reduce the number of parking spaces. So one of the things you'll read when you look through the description is one of the things they've asked for as part of that large scale development plan project is that they're reducing the number of parking spaces. So the parking spaces for this 39-story towers is less than the parking spaces that would be required for the as of right development. So we need to understand what they're signing our community up for, really. So that was one thing that I noted. Another thing was related to what does the project really look like? Because we kept hearing and seeing two towers. One of the documents that Alicia pointed out to me was this restrictive declaration document. And it's part of her FOIL. It's not something that we got as part of the CB9 documents. But from what I can tell, that's a document similar to the deed restrictions, if for those of us that were around for the Fenimore project and that whole, the lawsuit that they were trying to file, and they wanted us to be part of their rezoning. They had deed restrictions associated with the land. This would almost be a deed restriction associated with this large scale development. And so we need to understand, and that's what they'll have, to me, the developer will be legally responsible for adhering to, or whoever owns that land going forward. If they resell it like they did with Cornell, those are the parameters that whoever buys it will have to adhere to. And one of the things I noticed in that was that it says 11 buildings as part of this project. we were always told 2 buildings, building 1 and building 2. But then when you start looking into more detail in that project description in the EIS, and I sent it in my email, you'll see a little diagram that was off to the side that has what looks like 11 buildings. I always thought it was 2 towers, but they're going to be 11 buildings, and whatever configuration they end up with down the line, to me, the only thing that they have to adhere to is that they're going to be 11 buildings. The height, the width, whatever parameters, we don't know, but we're going to have 11 buildings on that plot from what I can tell right now. So those are some of the things to me that we'll need to start digging in and understanding for ourselves on what we as a community are being signed up for.
I read the same, but I didn't read 11 buildings. I thought it was number 11. I didn't think it was 11 buildings. So that's why I said that we really have to, really, read and see what's going on. Well, there's some issues here, and the reason that I'm asking all of the bidding members to read is because we will get an opportunity to actually hear from the, the contractor, and we'll get an opportunity to also, ask questions. But we hear what you're saying. So we'll all read it, and we're all going to come up with something probably a little different. Anybody else from the committee want to say anything about the materials? There's a lot of it.
Hi, it's Warren.
Warren?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I think we should take the opportunity before the ULURP process to invite the developer to one of our meetings. So number 1, if he accepts, we can hear what's going on, quote unquote. And number 2, that we extended the invitation and he may have not accepted it.
Okay, but are you saying to invite the developer before the public hearing? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. It's not unusual. It's not unusual in a development of this type for people to give us a pre-example.
Okay.
And it will end a lot of speculation, and then we'll know exactly what we're against. But I don't think they'll accept it, but I think strategically it would be a good idea to do it.
Okay, then not a problem. I can reach out to the contact person.
Thank you.
Could we
Go ahead.
add to that we have at least a representative, if not our actual council member, and find out what they know and what they've discussed. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in lobbying money has been spent by these developers to speak directly with the council member. So my guess is that she has a much better sense of what this project entails. I know that at some point, for example, Assemblymember Mosley came into a meeting and seemed to know a lot more about the project than we do. I think this is less about asking and like us actually demanding that our elected officials do the work that they're supposed to do, which is to keep us informed and to
Represent us.
Yeah, represent us. I mean, like ultimately, the person that we make the recommendation to, well, we make the recommendation to the board, and then the board makes the recommendation to that council member. So it would seem that it would make a lot more sense for them to engage at this point in the process and also just let us know what they're thinking and what they know. I know that she had a representative speak at the scoping hearing last year, but that was in the spring of last year. That's the last we've heard from her office regarding this project. So considering that the final decision, if it happens, if the certification happens when we think it is going to happen, and the council is still doing member deference, then they're the person that makes this ultimate decision. So I feel like we need to know what they're thinking.
Well, that's true.
What she's thinking.
But I also agree with Warren that we still need to know exactly, once we read the material, we need to know exactly what the developer. We need to hear from the developer also.
Yeah, and by the way, this is Warren. I totally support what Esteban's saying.
Mm-hmm.
The more
the more the merrier on this, because we there's more than just like the documentation and the information. There's also like all of the side bets that are going on already, and we want to make as informed of a decision as we can. So Yeah, so I just want to, I don't have a great deal of confidence that that either of those requests will be fulfilled, but I wanted to put it out there.
Well, we don't know that. Well, I would say the developer may not want to do that before they are certified. So that may be an issue.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's important that we check all the boxes. That's all. If he says yes, he says yes. If no, no, and the same thing with our elected officials. But I think it's important that CV9 carries out its fiduciary responsibility of issuing the invitations.
But didn't you guys already ask last time?
I don't know. I don't remember. To be honest with you, Alicia.
Well, we agreed to it. I don't know if anyone reached out to the developer. We talked about inviting that person. I don't know if that actually happened.
The board, yes, they reached out at that point. They didn't approve at that point because they weren't certified. At least that's what came from the office. So everything was at a standstill. So
That is correct.
Am I correct? Right. So
that is correct, Ms. Moses.
Yeah, that was done.
Okay.
So the certification is the issue. And if we don't, we will be having a public hearing around that situation.
One other thing I saw in the EIS, and this would pertain to BBG, is that they noted in there that they could not assess because they didn't have access to the inventory of plants at the Botanic Gardens, they couldn't do a detailed assessment of the impact. So they basically concluded that there would be no significant adverse impact to mature plants.
Okay, great.
So, my ask would be is that because you have access to the inventory, I think that those type of details and those facts would probably be very vital, very critical to our position that this type of development would have an adverse impact on the saplings and the other plants that you have there.
Can I make one more comment? Sorry, but I just want to note that this is the most information I think that we've ever had going into a ULURP process, at least since I've been in the past 5 years, and I think it speaks to both the board and the committee's collaborative efforts with the community and with MTOP, with FLAC, with everyone that's like chimed in and done FOIL requests, and like we still haven't gotten everything, but this is the most that we've been able to get, and like I just want to acknowledge that that's a positive thing, and that means that people are doing the work. So thank you to everybody that's contributed to that. It's a lot of information, and it's like mind-boggling that we didn't have it, and I think about every other process that we've gone through at this point and not had all of this information. It's amazing, but it does take a lot of concerted effort, and especially to the office and Mia and everyone that's been working on getting this stuff together. It's really, really helpful. So thank you.
I'll thank everybody too.
Sorry, can I make a quick comment as well?
Me.
Initial reaction.
Me. Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure most people on this call are already well aware of this. But in just my glance of reading the executive summary, and for me, this is a huge takeaway and just something to dig in a little bit more, is that the lowest level of affordability that is being offered in the project is 80% of area median income, which for a family of 4 is $90,000 a year. To the best of my knowledge, the median household income in Brooklyn CB9 is around $66,000 a year. So any amount of affordability in this project is essentially more market rate housing. I think we need to definitely dig into more on that. I don't really see why the city would give a rezoning without really getting any sort of affordability in return.
Well, you need to read that again because they had 50%. I read 50%. And the material we just got. They said 50%, I think it said 50% at 20% is 50% of the salary. And then they had 80% and then they had enough. They had like 3 different things. I read it today.
We can look through more, but
yeah, I read it today.
The summary was 80% was the
no,
low.
look, you
80,
gotta read
120.
Yeah, read it again. Because it did say 50%. I don't know exactly what 50% and then 20% means, but I read 3.
Pat, you're talking about 50% of the residential units. There's about 1,500 residential units. The 50% equals 50% will be affordable housing. He's talking about exactly what area, what target population that 50% will be targeting. So that's the difference. You're right, Pat, it is 50%, but it's 50% of the residential units, whereas Nolan is talking about out of that affordable housing, what would be the target population? And he's saying that the target population is for people who make $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 to almost $140,000.
Okay, so yeah, we could look into that. I don't really know. I'm not gonna say I know because I don't. But we need to really those are the things that we really need to look in as to, what the amount of money they're talking about, because affordability with 80,000 would not be a good look.
They will have one bedroom apartments.
Huh?
They'll have one bedroom apartments that are $2,700 that will be considered affordable.
Well, you know what? I don't know.
No, I mean, like that's I matched it with the HPD's chart that tells you exactly how much those those cost. Yeah, the reality and the thing about it is that they're going to classify those and they're going to try to sell those as affordable, but those are higher than what market rate is right now in this neighborhood, which is how you end up with something like on Dean Street near Atlantic Center. There's a bunch of empty apartments because nobody wants that affordability level because it's literally more expensive than what's currently offered in the market. So like that part of it is a huge scam. Like that's the part where we need to really be paying attention. So
right, and that's why I said we need to really look at the material, see what's coming in from the developer, because we really don't know for it to be a fact. So that's why it's very important that we look at what's going to come into us, and that's why we are going to have housing chairperson going to be helping us to look into all this, to really get into it once we get the material. So I agree. We really got some homework to do before the New Year's, because I'm not quite sure if they'll be certified prior to the holidays. I'm not sure. But as soon as we get that information, remember they have to send us a package.
Right. I don't know if this has changed. Esteban, you might be closer to it. Looking at it, it looks the same as the same ratios that we had during the scoping hearing. Do you see significant change in the affordability rates and percentages?
I don't think so. The documents I was looking at were which I think it was the most recent one. They did change a lot of the text of what, like, I don't know if they narrowed down what they were doing in terms of the affordability levels, but like they redacted a bunch of the hypotheticals and settled on their big selling point now is apparently this extra 20% of affordability that they're going to offer, but that extra 20% of affordability that they're being so gracious to give us is at 120 to 130% of AMI. So we're talking well over $100,000 a year for people making that amount of money. Not anybody, not anyone that I know anyway at this point.
The reason I asked Pat, I didn't mean to cut you off, is that during the scoping period, a lot of people, we were all digging through the documents, and that's, how we had come up with some of the opposition and some of the arguments at that point. So I'm thinking that we may be able to leverage some of that information because it hasn't changed dramatically from what I can tell.
Okay, well taken. I have to do my homework.
Right. But one thing, if I could add, Madam Chair, before you continue, the one thing I would say is, from the things I've heard, I haven't heard that things have changed substantially from what we've seen. So it's probably a good idea for the committee to just start with the numbers you have. If they change, I mean, I don't think there'll be big changes, but at least you have, the starting point where you can say, okay, well, listen, now we can make a text change here and there. So instead of 20% is 25, but I think you'll have the basic gist of what they're proposing.
This is why I guess it's important, to really get the final product, which is a certification. So all the stuff would be in there, So anyway, but I haven't done my homework, but I'm definitely gonna try and do it and try to understand it the best that I can. Somebody else, housing, the chairperson of housing.
I put in the chat, just so folks know, I put in the chat that has the charts for AMI and for how much each apartment would cost and all that, just so people can reference as we're talking about these things, because it's very heady stuff. So
Is the chairperson of housing here?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Sorry, I don't have, my webcam is not working right now, so I just have access to, you're not gonna be able to see me, but I've been here the whole time, been listening to everything, commenting. Since materials have been released on the actual distribution of what the so-called affordable housing units will be, you know, I will put this on the agenda for the next housing meeting in January to review. I don't know if we'll have a certification by then. You know, it has to go before the whole committee, but my own personal view outside of my role as the housing committee chair is that anything above 50% is a non-starter. And so, you know, I welcome community input. We'll definitely be taking a look at it in January. So we'll be prepared to do that then.
Great. We appreciate it. I was also trying to get the chair from the environmental committee, but I'm not sure if that person is here or not. I don't think so, but I know there's supposed to be a report in from the environmental. Did anybody see a report from the environmental? Was that in that material? Let me hear Alicia, because she reads everything. So Alicia, did you read everything? Did you see anything in there?
Unfortunately, the environmental committee is probably a non-functioning committee at this time of CB9s. They have not done anything as far as I know about this. I do just have one thing, one ask that you guys need to find. You need to find a declaration. You need to find a declaration of the large scale commercial manufacturing development, because that is the parameters and that holds the community benefits. The one that we have is basically an outline. They give one community benefit as providing the public with some open space between the two large buildings, towers that comprise of 11 buildings. And then they take it away when they say that if the development turns into a co-op and condominium, it would then turn into a gated community. So
okay,
that declaration is very, very important. They have not given it to us because that controls the large scale general development project. And without that, you're actually blind to what actually they can build.
Hello, everybody. It's Warren.
Okay. Thank you.
Pat, if
Yes.
the material that was released and everybody has seen today, the second paragraph states that the environmental study is not done yet.
Okay.
So we need to wait for that.
Great.
So
okay.
besides the politicking, the answer to your question is no, it's not complete.
Okay, great.
Excuse me,
At least somebody did their homework. I didn't do mine.
That is not what I'm talking about. It is not the environmental impact.
I know, but that's what the question was about.
That's what I was talking about. I wanted to know if we get any materials.
Right. Thank you.
Pat, could I make a quick point about the environmental impacts?
Suki, go ahead.
So I would encourage all of you to look at the email that Mia just sent out, which I think was, I think she might have sent it out this afternoon, but there's a section called correspondence that has the correspondence between the developer and the Department of City Planning over the last few years. And it shows the projects going through several different iterations. And one of the reasons it took so long to be certified was that the Department of City Planning was actually not happy with the level of density that this developer is requesting. They thought that it should be lower, that this zoning is usually only used for downtown Brooklyn, and they were concerned about the impact of the height and the bulk on the community, on transit, and they didn't think that it could be supported, but apparently the developer did not respond to that request to reduce density, and they just kept coming up with different versions of the project that pushed the bulk of the towers around into different spots to see if they could respond to different requests. And that's probably why they've asked for a large scale general development, because they want to be able to push things around into different configurations rather than reducing the density of the project overall.
Well, along those lines, I think the main thing is this. I think that the reason why this project looks the way it does is because there is a ton of money in here. The land was bought for more than a song. Yeah, I mean, it was bought for a lot of money. For them to even make this something worth their while, they need to charge market rate on as many units as possible and have as many different revenue streams as possible. Hence why you have a commercial layer in it that they're requesting, because that needs to come in as well. So I think that's what we're looking at. Those are going to be some of the questions we have asked point blank in terms of, because I think that even if they said this got rejected, they couldn't do it I don't think this plan could even work even if they went to as of right. They need this development to happen at the specs that they've been asking, or at least I would suspect, or something close to it.
Keep in mind that it was also financed through union financing, which is why they have to do all union labor. And this is a significant thing because without them so they can't cut corners where developers normally cut corners, which is like, hire cheaper labor, or, there's all sorts of parameters that they can't do anything about. And so they're going to go for all these other places where they can try to increase their profit margin on this project. But, yeah, they're going to have to they've got to make calculations that I think we haven't seen other developers have to make before. So, and you can expect the building trades and the unions to turn up for this process, because they're gonna be pro the union labor, but that doesn't I mean, that's not going to change the affordability of it or the density of it or anything like that. So just to keep in mind, that's how this was financed. And if it goes as of right, I don't think they get the same financing. I think that all changes for them. So they're under, I think that gives us a lot of leverage, basically.
Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do, we're going to table that, and we're going to all do our homework. And we'll hopefully, and we're gonna, I guess, ask questions that we don't understand, and we'll have a discussion. Now, if they are certified, before we meet again, I would like to have a special meeting, for us to, discuss before we turn around and do the public hearing. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Our minutes that we had, I hope all our committee members got our minutes from November, but we had just some corrections. I don't know if you got the corrections. The corrections is that the minutes were dated October 13th, 2020, and it should have been November 10th, 2020. So that was the change. Nolan, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry for the mistake.
No, we all make mistakes. At least we caught it. So if everybody
Fred looks pretty unhappy about it.
Who looks unhappy? Oh, Fred. Hey, at least we got minutes. And thanks to those, our minutes are on time. So you get a 99% there.
ULURP gets a gold star for that.
I see. Well, we did have we had a member that I was going to discuss in terms of not being able to make the meetings, and I see that you made the first meeting, Mr. Thomas. So we'll table that for now, and we will have a discussion offline. But at the end of the day, you have to follow the bylaws or you have to be excused. One of the members that's going to be excused this evening is, I had her name here. I can't remember her name. Let's see.
I believe it's Erin Brown, Miss Moses.
Oh, okay, Erin Brown.
She has an international assignment, so she's out of the country.
Right. So Nolan, can you just, she is excused?
Hey, Pat, it's Warren. Do you want to take a roll call?
Okay, yeah, so Nolan can know. Nolan, you want to call the people off for me? Because I never remember.
Sure. I mean, I can also just look on the.
Well, I need to know.
I can.
Let's do it officially and take a roll call, please.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do a roll call.
All right.
All right. Warren Burke. You hear Warren?
Warren, you gonna answer?
Yes, I am here. You're wrong. I was on mute. I apologize.
Suki Chung.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nicola Cox.
Here.
John Craver.
Here.
Esteban, you're on.
Here.
Nolan Levinson, I'm here. Patricia Moses.
I'm here.
Thomas.
Here.
And Richard Villabrea Jr.
Is he here?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Also, Ms. Moses, if you don't mind, I just wanted to ask the committee. I've appreciated Nicola's notes and I appreciate the ongoing committee thread. I think that it's helpful for the members who have who've been on the committee, you know, for a shorter period of time and have less engagement with these docs. So Nicola, the information that you shared has been great. And I just hope that the committee continues to share in the thread and keeping all of us informed as we see things and highlight them.
Great. Yes, hey, we're open. We're open. I would also want just to thank the committee, you know, just for their input, because we're all in this together. And it doesn't matter, some people could be for or against, but at the end of the day, what I would like to do is just to discuss what's going on and have the community's input. Now we're gonna go to the community. And I think there was somebody from, I didn't get the name, from Botanical Garden.
Yes, that's Adrian Benepe. This is Adrian Benepe. He's the president of BBG.
Oh, he's the president? Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Moses.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Good to see you all. My name is Adrian Benepe. I'm the new president and CEO of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, going on almost 2 months. I come to this job with 42 years or so of experience in the world of parks and open space, public gardens, and so on, including 27 years at the New York City Parks Department, with 11 years as New York City Parks Commissioner, but also worked at the Municipal Art Society and worked for the last 8 years before coming here at the Trust for Public Land, where I worked on public park issues across the country. Thank you for letting me have a chance to talk to you. And I've heard a lot of really sort of smart discussion here. A couple of points just, and I do want to thank, of course, the community members have been fighting in such effective ways. I would in particular thank Alicia Boyd and MTOP, who have done some really serious work, including legal work, very impressive legal work. You know, one of the things a city cultural institution, which depends on city funding and sits on city land and has city authorities on its board, can't do is sue the landlord. That it's so when we are threatened like this, we have to depend on citizens or other groups to do the legal work. However, we can do advocacy work. I'm continuing the advocacy work started by my predecessor, Scott Medbury and the entire team at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, and supported by our board, who raised money for us to do the advocacy work. Just a few points. Some of these are obvious to some of you. What really gnaws at me, sticks in my craw, as it were, is that there was a very deliberate, conscious, and thoughtful downzoning of this entire neighborhood, led by the city of New York in 1991 for the express purpose of preserving the environment of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. I would add that it had an ancillary purpose, maybe not a purpose, but an ancillary impact or effect of protecting the sunlight on Jackie Robinson Playground. As the former Parks Commissioner, I care as much about the neighborhood playgrounds as I do for the cultural institutions and gardens. In fact, I was hanging out in Jackie Robinson Playground on a sunny fall afternoon recently, watching kids enjoying that sunlight and thinking, that may not be there soon. And also in Edgar Everett College. So we are also concerned not just about our own grounds, obviously, but about the entire neighborhood. In doing that downzoning, they specifically said this action will encourage residential development in keeping with the existing neighborhood character and to minimize the potential shadow impact upon the Botanic Garden from any new residential development. That was the stated purpose of that specific city-led downzoning. Now what we have is a situation where the city has not approved and has not necessarily said they're going to approve, but is entertaining a proposal for some radical spot upzoning by a developer. So radical that one of the devices being used has only been used in one place in the city's history, which is one of these overlays, which was used up in the Bronx next to a elevated subway line. So they're proposing the use of a radical spot upzoning tool to create a monstrous, and I use this word advisedly, a monstrously large building that would create a tremendous environmental impact, not only on the garden, but on the entire neighborhood. It will, as I mentioned, cast shadows on the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, permanent shadows across all season long. The greenhouses will be in shadow all year long. So not just in winter where shadows are longest, but in the summer when shadows are shortest. But also contrastingly, long afternoons, sunlight will go away completely on the east side of those buildings. Now, it was mentioned before that we should know what the impact is on all the plants of the garden. We'd like to do that. We'd like to be able to know how to do that. The problem is there were 12,800 different species of plants from around the world growing in the garden grounds, representing hundreds of thousands of individual plants. It would be almost impossible to know what the impact on that shading as it moves across the garden would be on the plants. We do know, because we've heard from the experts and from our own experts, that there would be damage done to the collections growing in the greenhouses. We also believe, and we've just catching up like you are, we're sort of behind the same 8 ball. I'm just getting our hands on the EAS. I want to thank you for providing that to us, because even though it's a public document, this is the first time we're seeing it. And also on a related report of the potential effects of shadows. I'll just hold it up here. Maybe we can see it there. This report, which was included in the package of documents which you thoughtfully provided to us, done by Bill Logan, urban arborist, somebody I know. The report is damning. It concludes that there'd be, and quotes all of the experts from around the country, including our colleagues at the New York Botanical Garden, there'd be significant damage to the collections, including saying such things as, don't bother having a desert plant collection anymore, you just have to have different kinds of plants. It's also, I would argue, fatally flawed. And our vice president for horticulture was just doing this analysis this morning. It's fatally flawed in that it uses the Seeker manual for calculating sunlight and shadow. And the Seeker manual from the Department of Buildings takes away the first half an hour after sunrise, and the first hour and a half after sunrise, and the last hour and a half before sunset, and just eliminates them from the calculations. In other words, all of the calculations of this report were based on just arbitrarily taking 3 hours of daylight out of the equation. So when they made their conclusions that there might be up to 3 hours of shade, they were off by an hour and a half, because there could be up to an hour, 4.5 hours of shade, which would be even more damaging. So in other words, a fatally flawed Seeker manual was used to create a fatally flawed report that nonetheless said there would be significant damage done to the collection. I will also point out to you, I would suggest, and this is not our expertise at all, and would be the expertise of your committee, the mandatory inclusionary housing zoning element here, which the developer is using to say that they're going to use half of these 1,600 or 1,800 new units, approximately 800 units would be affordable. because they're proposing twice as many affordable units that they were required to under MIH, half of those affordable units would not be permanently affordable. There's a big catch in this, and so that, in fact, there would only be 400 permanently affordable units out of this whole thing. So there's a lot here, as they say, you know, there's something awfully, as Bugs Bunny used to say, and I guess it was not Bugs Bunny, but his counterpart, there's something awfully screwy going on around here. And it's a fatally flawed project, and they're trying to pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes and do permanent. And just this final thought, it's not like, oh, it would be a little bit unpleasant, it'll be a little bit shadowy. The worst damage will actually be on cloudy days, because there is actually sunlight coming on a cloudy day, and that damage is magnified by having the additional shadow from the building. So in fact, cold, cloudy winter days with the long shadows would be the most damaging days for the plant collections in the garden. So this would be permanent damage. It would be permanent blight on the garden. It would rob the community of a very important oasis for their physical and mental health, and destroy forever the sense that one gets when you go into that garden of, I'm going into a special place for my community. I can't highlight enough how this is an existential threat to this 110-year-old garden, but to the entire neighborhood. I really want to thank you for your activity. I want to thank the neighborhood activists, those who have really, as they say, gone to the barricades and done some really courageous work. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. If there's anybody from the community that want to ask a question, can you put it in the chat box, because I can't see everybody at one time here.
Well, I would like to ask a question.
You in the chat box? I don't see you in the chat box.
Because I don't have a
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I got my grandson, so I can't have a keyboard with him. He'll be all over it. You mentioned the fact that you can't analyze all of the plants, and we understand there's 18,000 plants. However, is it possible, because I'm just talking from a legal perspective, is it possible for you to be able to group those plants into categories? And like, for example, the desert collection, if you're basically saying the desert collection will be gone, so can you do an analysis of the desert collection?
Yeah, and we do have the testimony of the experts in this document provided by the developer, saying, you'd have to probably get rid of the desert collection. Well, so that's there. So the problem is there are very few experts around. Believe me, we've been looking. Who are the experts in how plants go in greenhouses affected by shadows? They sort of don't exist. So we have to go to anecdotal comments made by experts in growing plants in greenhouses. Because again, you're talking about, these are not production greenhouses for the most part, though there are some. What we're talking about is the impact on permanent collections of plants of different ages. So yes, we're going to do everything we can to get the best information we can, and of course, share it with you. But I wouldn't count on our being able to do that in a timely way for the purpose. We'll give it a try, but I can't guarantee you we'll get you the kind of information you need. But this report is damning.
What's the name of that report, please, sir?
It's called a report of the potential effects of shadows that would be cast, it was cast, I guess it's a typo, by proposed buildings at 960 Franklin Avenue on the greenhouses of the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. Prepared for Franklin Avenue, owner LLC, care of a continuing company, prepared by Bill Logan, urban arborists. And it's dated September 2019. So we're just seeing it Thanksgiving.
Can we get that report from you?
I think we got it from the community board.
No, you did not get that from the community.
No, we've been asking for that report, actually. That's the arborist report, right?
That's the arborist.
It's the arborist report, yeah. Sure.
We would really love to have the arborist report.
Whoa. One at a time here now. Okay.
Yes. Can
you go ahead, Esteban. You could go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Can you give
it? Yes. That would be amazing. We have been trying to get that since last year.
Yes.
We just got it.
So can you give it to us?
Yes.
Well, I would ask, can you send it into the community board? Community board 9.
We will share it through our government relations person. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Before I would like, I think Ms. Bryan's been trying to get in for the last 10 minutes. Can you unmute yourself, Ms. Bryan?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for attending our meeting, and I appreciate you having two meetings because I've been with a meeting with you earlier this evening. So, and I noticed at the Fight for Sunlight meeting, you said, or you showed a shadow study. Is it possible that you can also share your shadow study with us?
I guess unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think we can. You know, we're not experts at it. It's kind of an amateur shadow study. So let me see what we can do. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not prepared by
Thank
an
you.
expert. It's not prepared by an expert company, so I don't know how it would hold up in legal setting.
I don't think we're looking for anything to hold up in court. We just want to, you know, we just want.
Yeah, let me try to get my hands on that for you.
Okay, we'd appreciate.
I appreciate it.
We definitely, and we thank you and everybody else. Anybody else from the community want to say something? I don't see anybody in the waiting room.
Oh, I have one other thing. There is Assemblywoman elect Farrer is going to be having a press conference in front of BBG at 1 o'clock on Thursday. Will you be attending that press conference, or would somebody from BBG attending that press conference?
Certainly someone will attend. I can't say it's going to be me. I've got a whole lot of meetings. We have a lot of board meetings coming up, but yes, and we're happy that you're having the press conference.
Great. And just for the public, the press conference is about the fact that we believe that their removal of the sunlight from the garden will require state legislative action, because this garden was given from the state to the city, and thus the state has control over the garden in that regard. Anytime you alienate or remove or change the purpose of a public green space that's been donated by the state to a municipality or a city, you must get state legislation to do that. And so Assembly-elect Farah Soufant will be doing a press conference at 1 o'clock in front of BBG at 150 Eastern Parkway. And we do ask people to come out and support that effort, because she's demanding that before the Department of City Planning and the city certify this application, that they reach out to the state to get permission.
Okay.
May I just a point of clarification, Ms. Boyd. Any city or state parkland in New York State which is alienated, that is sold, given away, or used for a non-parks purpose, must go through alienation proceedings, which requires not only, as you say, the state legislature approval, but also the approval of the city council, and then signature by the governor, and then provision of replacement parkland. So it would be a novel use of the alienation and the public trust doctrine, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility of it succeeding. It would be the first time it would work, but I wouldn't say don't try it. I would say give it a try.
Could I make one or ask a question real quick?
Go ahead.
So I'm sure you're well aware that on the issue of the Franklin Avenue rezoning, which was 54 and 40 Crown Street, that we didn't have the support of BBG in the lead up to it, and that's in the past at this point, because it's been litigated in court. We'll find out within the next couple of months if that if we're able to undo that that rezoning. But if we are, it's unlikely that they're just going to let it sit there. It's probably going to come back through. Those sites are also under the 1991 rezoning. This is right across the street from me here on Franklin Avenue. And so I would just as a general comment, I think for messaging and in terms of putting forward to the community like a unified front, I think that created a lot of tension between the community and BBG to not have that, not have the ability to fight that fight together. And so I would just encourage you, if we're able to win this court case, if we're able to get to that point, when this comes back around, we would really love to have you on our side in fighting whatever it is that's going to be, whatever they try to replace that with. So we want the entirety of that 1991 rezoning to stay intact, because the sun hasn't changed, as Alicia says.
Okay, so we're going to move on. I want to thank you.
Excuse me, Pat, it's Warren. As a member of the committee, I think that Mr. Benepi, number one, thank you for your transparent remarks. But as important, I think he made a very good point about we're focusing just on BBG. And when you take a look at the local playgrounds, there's a concept that I recently learned about called comfort level for the community, doing research for this. And I think I think the committee should start looking, in addition to BBG, what effect it's going to have on our community, whether it's the playgrounds, the kids, all that stuff, because the point that he made about sunlight and kids being able to play in a park, that's terrible. So I think we should at least explore this and add it to our agenda. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if that would be our agenda or Parks agenda. I'm not sure. But
Well, we
again,
can discuss it.
yeah. Is anybody else from the community? Miss Barnes, you have nothing to say today? I don't understand that. Unmute her because she always has something to say.
No, I relinquished my time.
You ain't saying nothing today, though.
I know. I'm listening today.
Oh, okay.
Just when you thought you had me all figured out.
Miss Thomas, do you have anything to say?
Thank you, dear lady.
Thank you. Lorraine Thomas, do you have anything to say? You got to unmute yourself.
No.
You have nothing to say either?
No, I think everything was said already.
Oh, okay. I like that now. We'll see when y'all do your homework whether you have something to say or not.
Okay.
Anyway, anybody else from the community want to say anything? Okay. Anybody on the committee want to say anything? Okay, since nobody wants to say anything, Alicia, you can't have the whole floor now. You've been talking for an hour.
All I'm asking you to do is ask for the declaration page, please. Can you guys put a motion on the floor to ask to have the completed declaration page for the LSGD? That's very important. I've already stated it. It's the parameters of what they can build. It's the document, the deed. It controls all of that LSD, the heights, if there are any height limits, everything. And so it's not filled out. We got a sketch. It should be filled out. If they're about to certify the application, please ask for that document.
I can put that motion on the floor if that's if it's doable now.
I need someone to put the motion on the floor because I don't remember what you said, but go ahead.
Yeah, can we? I don't actually get all that either. So we need the declaration of the.
You need the declaration.
It's the restrictive declaration.
Okay, well, hold on a second. I need somebody from the committee to put the motion on the floor.
I move that we request
a copy of the latest updated restrictive declaration document from DCP.
I second.
Restrictive declaration document.
For what?
For 960 Franklin Avenue project.
Okay, right. Nolan, you got that? You get it?
Okay. Let me just read it back just to make sure.
Right.
We move to have CB9 request for the latest restrictive declaration document from the Department of City Planning for 960 Franklin Avenue.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Warren, a second. Okay, so move. That concludes my meeting. However,
Pat,
yeah.
we need a vote. We need a vote on that.
Oh, we gotta have a vote. That's right. I'm trying to. Okay, yeah, we got to. Okay. Sorry.
Pat's trying to get rid of us.
I'm not. I forgot we have a vote. So, who's going to Nolan?
Well, first we want to have any discussion.
Any discussion? I guess that's no.
Actually, I do have one question. Actually, I do have one. Now, this document, would that be part of the what is it called, the community benefits, any community benefits document, or is that included as part of that, or is that something a community benefits document would be included in that?
You can include in that document, it's possible to have community benefits in that document that then would be attached to the land itself and not be dependent upon other things. Or you can have a separate community document, community benefit agreement that tends to be very shaky and not enforceable.
Okay. I asked only because I know we've already got a request in for any community benefits documents. So it may just be a matter of chasing that, but you go ahead with the motion and we'll follow up.
Right, not necessarily, because the only thing that I saw in that particular document, the first one was just this open space that then would be available to the neighborhood. And then once it became a co-op condominium, it would be closed. So that, whereas when I saw the other documents, there was a community benefit agreement that they would provide some daycare. And that was something separate outside of this declaration. So you can find community benefits inside a declaration, or you can find it outside.
This was considered in the information that was sent to Alicia, it was included as part of the application. It was in that folder.
Okay, now. So
The vote.
Yes. Now, let me just understand. So if this was already requested, Mr. Baptiste, would you be requesting it through a letter? I mean, how would that work? Would we be requesting this from, would you have to really request it through some type of letter? Am I correct?
Well, I'm saying just to be safe, I can follow up on the last request we had, plus I can request this as well in case it's something separate and different. So
yes, I'd appreciate that.
We'll take care of it. Yeah.
Did you request the actual application, the latest version of the application?
I believe, and Mia, correct me if I go wrong, I think we had requested whatever amended applications, whatever the amendments were for the applications. My understanding is I think they were saying, actually, before I misspeak, Mia, do you remember what if there were any comments on that?
The information for the amended applications was sent this afternoon.
Oh,
but that was just a picture. That's just like one little document.
Yeah,
they didn't send
that's
the whole
the only
file.
thing that we have. So I think that we can put together another formal ask.
Yeah, they're getting tic-tacky. They're getting legalistic now.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why it's going to be important for us to make sure we go through the documents, see what we do have, and see where the gaps are, so we can follow up as well to make sure that no, we didn't forget it. We still want it. We need to supply.
Okay. So the motion is on the floor. We have a second. And so now we need what? Roll call here?
Yes.
Okay.
Warren, are you doing the roll call or me?
No, you are.
Oh, Nolan, you're doing it.
All right. Okay. Warren Burke.
Here. Oh, yes. Yes.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
I know. It's like,
Suki Chong.
Yes.
Nicola Cox.
Yes.
John Craver.
Yes.
Esteban Hiron.
Yes.
Nolan Levinson, yes. Patricia Moses.
Yes.
And Thomas.
Yes.
Okay. The motion passes unanimously.
Right. And before we close out, the next scheduled meeting would be January the 12th, 2021. And of course, if something happens in between, we will have a special meeting. But our scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. I'll be glad when 2020.
Of course, she cut out right as she was talking bad about it.
You're so right.
We're gonna be done with this 2020.
Yes, before I adjourn, I want to really wish everyone a safe and happy holidays, and hopefully we'll have everything together before next year. And just remember, all committee members, please do your homework and then read. That includes me too, so that at least when you're talking, I'll know exactly what we're talking about. I want to thank all of the people from the community for being a part of this. And again, I just want to say that before we get a motion to adjourn, as chairperson, I listen to all sides, the right side, the wrong side, and the in-between side, and all around side. So I'm a listener, and hopefully we'll get some of the answers that you're looking for, and hopefully our elected officials will come in and let us know, like Esteban stated, where they stand on this particular issue. Because it's my understanding there's a lot of support going out here in terms of unions. I'm not sure who the unions are. Unions, there's a lot of elected officials that I understand, I could be wrong, but there's a lot of elected officials that are supporting this. So again, that's why we really need to, and I agree, to see what's going on. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Pat, for a very good meeting.
Yes.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you, all y'all.
Thank you so much to the entire committee and all the residents. Everyone have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.